The following podcast is part of the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. For advertising information or to find more great podcasts, visit us at www.theunderdogsports.com and follow us on Twitter at RealTheUnderdog.
There is a reckoning. We're talking NBA Finals. We're talking the lines from BovadaSportsbook.com. Sam and I are laughing because we have a reckoning. We have an apology to make. And then, we're going to be talking, of course, some NFL. The injuries are starting to come in. The Fantasy Football Almanac is available on Amazon.com, and that's also going to need some adjusting. So we're going to go through all that and more today on the Functional Sportsaholic. Sam, buddy, how you doing?
What is up, my brother?
Not much. I don't know where to start the show. So let's just, it's kind of like roulette here. Let me spin the wheel here. And, okay, I'm going to land on my trip this week. I went to Las Vegas. I had some business to attend to, and got on the plane for the first time in a year and a half. Was not looking forward to that at all.
Oh, that is right. That is the first plane that you've been on. Okay, yeah.
I will say I got through security. Both Chicago, where I fly out of, and then Las Vegas coming back. I got on the plane quickly because I had heard through some colleagues and stuff that traveling in different airports is a challenge and this and that. I got through security so fast in both airports. So that's one thing. And then that was good. But I got my first delayed flight in probably like 2 or 3 years. I've been on a good run, Sam, where my flights have gone off on time.
Right.
So it's hard to complain really about my run there. But as soon as I get to the airport, plane change and this and that. So I get into Vegas, at what was about 11:30 Pacific time, so it's like 1:30 my time, and I'm very sleep sensitive, as you know, Sam. So I'm already roughing it, and then to begin with, the itinerary, because I didn't want to be gone from the house, any more than I had to.
Right.
I flew on the red eye home the next day,
Right.
and that was, again, the flight. It was safe. That's all that really matters. It was on time, so fine. But I could not get comfortable on the flight, man, and so I am behind on sleep. But
Is that about a 2-hour flight? Or
no, for me it's about 3.5, 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and a red eye,
do that
they'll
long.
hit the gas, so you can get home in like 3.5 hours. But
Yeah.
so it was.
So how was Vegas, man? How's the scene looking out there?
Yeah, I tell you what, it looked like. So I was there on a Monday and Tuesday, and I have never seen Vegas more packed on a Monday and Tuesday night. And it is summer. Okay, it is
People
summer.
are dying to get out. Yeah, I guess.
I guess, man. And so, I get there, and, as people of the show know, Sam and I, we take COVID seriously. I recognize there's a heavy percentage of the population that listen to the show that do not, okay? So we'll just leave it there. We've done those episodes, so I don't want to talk any more about it. But what was interesting is I show up, and I'm at the hotel, and I'm at a nicer hotel, and I'm off the Strip because I don't really like to stay on the Strip, honestly, because I don't go there for for partying. If I go there for partying, I'll stay on the Strip. But I was off Strip, and then I'm at breakfast in the morning in the hotel, and the waitress is just like, "Oh yeah, the COVID's like going crazy right now." It's like, really? I hadn't looked. I hadn't paid attention. I looked at it, and the positivity rate's at like 13.5%, and I'm just like, holy moly. That is, if you follow the metrics, that's where basically everybody's just going to get sick quickly. And so, they're starting to try to, they're slowly instituting masks and this and that or whatever. But basically what ends up happening is I'm walking around, and I had dinner on the Strip on Tuesday night, again, with some folks I know, some colleagues that were also out there. And no, it is shoulder to shoulder. It's the night of the NBA Finals, which, by the way, I think the NBA Finals, by that point, Bovada had Milwaukee -5, and Sam and I are definitely going to dig into that in a couple of minutes here. But -5 for that game, that closeout game. And I was still sick in Phoenix, but again, I'll get to that in a little bit. So, I'm the only one in a mask, and I think a couple of people were making fun of me for wearing a mask because I'm just like, oh my gosh, because the positivity rate's too high. Now I'm vaccinated, and so I didn't want to, I'm probably okay, but I also have some kids at home and all that. It's just like, I'm just going to wear the mask. There's too many people around here. I haven't been around that many people in a long time. I felt more cramped there than when we went to the Cubs game, a couple weeks ago, Sam, when you were up in town.
Right.
It was crazy, just hopping. And I've never been to Vegas on a fight weekend, and I hear and I know that it's more, like it's there's a lot more traffic there. But I'm just like, man, I came on a Monday, Tuesday primarily because I wanted to avoid people, and there's just everybody out, and good for them, man. They're all having fun, but it made me a little uncomfortable, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man, I'm going back to mask out in public. I mean, I'm vaccinated, all that stuff, but I just, I don't want to get sick. I mean, and, I think people need to be taking this thing seriously. So,
yeah, so my brother and I were talking, this is a couple months ago, back when the numbers were really low, when the vaccines were starting to roll out and all that. Excuse me. And my brother was just like, the masks, they don't bother me. I think I'm just going to keep wearing them, like, indefinitely. It's like, what do I need a cold for? This isn't a badge of honor, No, I will say.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, I've been wearing them for probably the past almost 2 weeks now, everywhere I go indoors. And the looks you get from people are like, what are you doing with that thing on?
Yeah, right.
But it's kind of like, I mean, do you not know? I mean, obviously my girlfriend works at a hospital. Mm-hmm. They're up to almost the highest numbers they were at the peak for hospitalizations.
Oh, wow.
So people need to take this serious. A lot of the people, yes, are not vaccinated, but there are some that are vaccinated and are getting it. They're either immune suppressant while they're in the hospital or whatever, but
right.
You just never know. You could catch something at a bad time, your immune system's down, and end up. It's not worth it to me,
Yeah.
And we just got to take it seriously.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at as well. And I think because it's no secret, it's the communities and the people that aren't getting vaccinated are the ones that are getting it and spreading it. And we're in this kind of weird back and forth, I guess, with the virus. And it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. This is more just conjecture because I'm certainly not a medical person. And it's been annoying me how many Facebook doctors there are out there that come out of the woodwork and they do 5 minutes of research and all of a sudden they know more than somebody who's been in 8 years of medical school, right? And it's like, I just, you get accredited to be a doctor and go through this. Like, all these people are going after Fauci now. And everybody loved Fauci when he was keeping Ebola out of the country. Everybody loved Fauci when he's keeping the Zika virus at bay for the country. And everybody hates Fauci now because he's working on another virus and another vaccine. He's been like at that level for a long time because he's very good at what he does. And it's crazy that, the bulk of this, and we've been saying this for a long time, it's all really just political statement and political affiliation. And it's wild, but, it kind of makes me sad because then I look at, global, because again, I was in Las Vegas. It was like my blood was boiling. I mean, physically my blood was boiling, not metaphor, because it was so freaking hot out there. I'm like, oh gosh, our planet's dying. And we can't even get people to vaccine up to when there's
right. So
when there's data right in front of their face. How are we going to save the planet?
How are we going to come together to save the planet? We're not. I mean, there's going to be some areas that are going to be uninhabitable. However you say that, it's just not coming out of my mouth. Habitable. In 10, 20 years, places in Arizona, places in Vegas, like it's gonna be too hot.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna burn up, man.
It's crazy.
I'm really hoping the next generation is
not.
Is gonna be the one, but I don't think
it's not. Man. I think it's gonna be worse.
We're doomed.
I think it's gonna be worse. I think the greatest I think the greatest generation was the World War II generation, and then their kids, they raised soft kids. I'm talking about the baby boomers, and then those soft kids raised even softer kids in the millennials, which is kind of where we're at. We're right in the middle between the Gen Y and the whatever they call them.
Right.
Basically, we're kind of millennials. We're kind of the next generation, and they're worse. They're worse. It's yeah. Here's your uplifting message for today. We've hit our peak as a society. Anyway, so NBA Finals, man. I think I said already, but Bovada had Milwaukee at -5 on Game 6, right? And I called Phoenix in 5 or 6 on Milwaukee. I believe you did as well. And I gotta say, like, Milwaukee just came out after their 0-2 deficit and just throttled Phoenix. I might have said Philadelphia there. I apologize. Phoenix, obviously. Sam, okay, what happened, man? I know you were watching the finals. I watched him as well, but you're the basketball guy, man. What happened there? Was it Milwaukee's defense? Was it Middleton finally waking up in a playoff series? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything, and I still get a lot of heat for, some of my Giannis takes. And obviously he's a great player. He seems like a really good dude too. So I would never hate on a guy like that. But their offense goes through Middleton. And when Middleton is a threat and cooking and they need a play or they need a shot, they go to Chris Middleton. And basically Chris Middleton got some home games and woke up.
Yeah.
They benefited from going back home and then getting on this momentous run that just carried them through. And won in Phoenix and basically got to close out at home. Which is if you're a team, you'd much rather win on the road. I thought Phoenix was going to put up a little bit more of a fight and make this a 7-game series, but they kind of ran out of gas there at the end. It was good. At least Chris Paul had a good game 5, but the rest of their guys just did not. Booker and Paul, came out, but, they weren't getting the help they needed from Jay Crowder and Cam Payne and all the guys that had been kind of, being behind the scenes that kind of propelled them in all the other series,
Yeah, and so coming into this final stretch, and again, I a couple of series ago, I think it was the conference semis, I was just like, oh, Phoenix is going to win the title. And I'm not walking it back because I'm wrong, and it is what it is. Generally, my football picks are a lot better, Sam. But right. I'm not walking it back, and I'm not walking back the Giannis. You call him Giannis, tomato. I call him Giannis, I guess. But I don't know what's right. But based on some of the time I spent in Greece, I think it's Giannis. But right. Whatever. I think he goes by both. We'll just say whichever one, whatever you prefer. Tomato. G. Yeah.
Or Jan.
Or Yi. Or Yi.
Or Jan.
Yanni. No, dude, he's good, and I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm walking stuff back because he just destroyed Phoenix in Game 6. But he's a good talent. He still reminds me of Tracy McGrady. And to your point, here's the thing: like Tracy McGrady, and when I say reminds me of Tracy McGrady, I mean those old Magic teams. Back in the day, and McGrady never had anybody. I think his best running mate in Orlando was like Drew Gooden or something like that. I mean, they could never get him a second piece.
Well, they had Mike Miller and they traded him away.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, classic Orlando.
I think that would have been a really good, piece. Mike, he's the rookie of the year. Let's trade him away in 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's best friends with Tracy McGrady. Let's get rid of him.
Right.
Stupid.
Yeah.
They tried. They did get Grant Hill. Obviously that.
Right.
That didn't work out well for them.
You're right.
And he didn't want to stick around for the Dwight Howard thing, but that could have been a good one too as well. So it's all about pieces for sure.
Yeah, and and finally, and this is what happened last year: is Middleton went cold and Milwaukee went out. Well, Middleton was really good, which improves Giannis. And Giannis is definitely the best talent on the team, and they won. He made it. He pulled it off. They pulled it off. Very good coming into the finals. I think Bovada had Milwaukee at like plus 185. And Philadelphia at like minus 175 or something like that. And,
right.
Milwaukee prevailed. Congratulations to Milwaukee. I like the town of Milwaukee, talking about more shoulder-to-shoulder people, a sea of people, a super spreader event.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you
see that. See those numbers.
It was funny.
In a week and a half.
I know, right? So, like, I was in Vegas. We were watching the end of Game 7, just in a casino. I think we were in the Cosmo or something like that. And we were watching it, and they showed the crowd outside, and somebody I work with was just like, "Oh, what do they call that?" And I said, I think super spreader is the word you're looking for. And he's like, "Yep, that is the word I was looking for." So, and then while I was saying this, I look around in the Cosmo, and it's just, again, shoulder to shoulder, and I was just like, I think we're also in a super spreader situation.
People in there smoking cigs too.
No, not there. No smoking inside. Okay. At least temporarily. But I will say, there's one person in all of Cosmo, outside of the staff who are required by law. There's one person in Cosmo wearing a mask, and that was me. So if you saw a guy in a mask, You saw a guy in a mask in the Cosmo the night of
Sean
Game 6.
Ryan.
You saw Sean Ryan, and you probably made fun of him because a lot of people did. But I've never been somebody that would change the way I do anything because somebody else is laughing at me.
Never.
It's my whole life.
Never. So I'll eat my Giannis crow. Obviously he had a phenomenal game 5 at home, and 50 points, and I think flirted with a triple-double. So incredible. And I think if Chris Paul had showed up in games, 3 and 4, it would have been a totally different.
Sure.
I think if Phoenix could have gotten one of those games in Milwaukee, but he was either hurt or the pressure was too much. There were times where Chris Paul wasn't even dribbling the basketball up the floor. He was passing it to Campaign to dribble the ball up. And I'm like, either the guy's wrist injury is worse than we thought, but then he had a really good game 5. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, congrats all, hats off. I'm always happy because it's like, I feel like, and even though I was saying Phoenix, and because I picked Phoenix, I was, I guess, rooting, subconsciously for Phoenix because, it make me right. That's really the only hat that I had in this thing. I'm really happy when kind of like a quote unquote smaller market comes through, because Milwaukee does remind me a lot of Orlando. So in a way, I'm just like, okay, the guy, and Milwaukee's a big city. They get a bad rap for being a smaller city because they're next to Chicago, but Milwaukee's, it's a cool city. And it's a big city, and I would say it's more metropolitan than Orlando, but still, it's like a nice one for the small guys. So,
yeah, and good for guys to stick around and build something there. They were looking pretty bleak, 5 years ago. No one wanted to play in Milwaukee, so
right.
Good. It's good for the NBA to have a small market team to win the whole thing. It's pretty crazy.
All right, Sam, buddy, you and I. We're big into on-demand. You got, especially over this last year, man, you can go on-demand. You can go, groceries now. You can be delivered to your door. Just, go ahead and enter it in on an app. You got streaming. I know Disney Plus. Of course, Netflix, man. Nothing's more on-demand than Netflix. It's great. We are living in an on-demand society. Am I right, buddy?
Yeah, man. You can get anything on demand.
Yeah. So you know what? It's time to businesses get in on that action. Look, business owners out there, your customers have grown to expect a simpler way of doing business. It's an on-demand world. It's an instant world. Nobody knows that more, and nobody talks about it, I bet, more, Sam, than me and you. That's why 90,000 local businesses of all sizes, I'm not talking about like big or small businesses or smaller big businesses or whatever, 90,000 local businesses of all sizes have turned to Podium, and you should too. Whether you have one location or 1,000, Podium's got you covered. Podium makes doing business as easy as sending a text. And now, Sam, I have a marketing background, right?
Absolutely.
Talk about that on the show, right?
Yep.
It's all about getting the right message to the right people at the right time. If you're out there and you're smiling and dialing and you're trying to do business on the phone, hey, that's great. I'm not taking anything away from that. But if you're not doing text message business these days, you're a dinosaur. You got to get in on it, because when texts get opened, business gets done. All your employees can text from a single inbox. This is really cool, right? You want to unify, you want to keep messaging and reporting, you want to keep all that solid and in one place. You can do that with Podium. It offers a smoother experience for your customers. Answering questions, send a text. Collecting reviews, send a text. Scheduling an appointment or delivery, what are we going to do? We're going to pick up the phone? No, we're going to we're going to send a text. Payment collection, send a text. Car dealerships, I don't know, man. I'm getting a lot of texts from car dealerships. I'm up in Illinois. Sam, you in Florida? You getting a lot of texts from car dealerships as well?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. So a dealer just sold a $50,000 truck in 4 text messages. Just boom, 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 boom. That's it. Boom, 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 boom. 50 grand, right? 50 G's. You could use 50 G's. Car dealerships are doing it. Dealerships are running profitable service centers with easier appointment scheduling and reminders. My dentist is using it all the time. I get dentists. You know what? I just set up my dentist appointment because I hadn't been there in a while due to some of the oddities of the world, Sam. And so I got the text. I said, oh, yeah, I need to get on that. My teeth, my coffee's turning my teeth brown. So I need to get in on the dentist. Retailers increasing revenue by allowing customers to shop via text message. Even with stores open, many people still want to shop from home. A jeweler just sold a $5,000 ring with a few text messages and even coordinated curbside pickup with Podium. We live in an instant economy, and today's customers, they expect everything on demand. Everything, even from local businesses. Stay ahead of the competition with Podium. They have free plans for growing businesses, plus all the power growing businesses need to scale. Get started for free today at podium.com/TFS. That's as in the Functional Sportsaholic. You can also see the note or the link in the show notes below. Once again, it's podium.com/TFS. I got to be honest with you, Sam. I think I'm going to get in on this for the Fantasy Football Almanac, which, by the way, is available on Amazon.com. You can also check the notes, the show notes below for the link there. But yeah, you might be receiving a text from me soon via Podium. I think we should get in on that.
Do it.
So let's shift it over. There's a piece of we don't talk a lot of hockey in this show, but I wanted to bring it up today. It's actually just entered my head. So Sam and I didn't even prep for this before. But Seattle is getting a team. And I think this popped into my head because we were just talking about Milwaukee, and it's got me thinking quickly about how the NBA, just by the nature of the NBA, you get one star there like a Giannis, and Devin Booker's doing his thing. Of course, you get Chris Paul there in Phoenix. Like these franchises that were just dead, not too long ago, made the finals,
Right.
And it's cool. And I was thinking about the NHL. They don't have as much, I don't think, turnover at the top. Now the NHL is different because in the playoffs, if your goalie gets hot for 3 weeks in the playoff season, you can win a Stanley Cup. You can be a bad team, but if your goalie gets hot at the right time, you
right.
can't score goals against them. So you can win games like 1-0, and that's happened, right? But Seattle's getting an expansion team this year, which I think is cool. And I always like the idea of expansion teams and all that. And they had their expansion draft. Now, the last time there was an expansion draft in the NHL, Las Vegas did the expansion draft, and they made the Stanley Cup Finals. Right. And they did that. I think they lost to Washington that year, who I'm kind of like I guess you can call me a Washington fan, but I don't really care that much, to be honest with you. I'm a poser if I'm saying I'm a big Capitals fan. I root for like the
You're
big.
Pulling for them if they're playing a game.
All things being equal, I like the Washington team. I grew, I just always have except for the Bullets and what are they called now? The Wizards. I don't care about them. But I generally will root for Washington, right? But Las Vegas a couple years ago, they had their expansion draft, and I was talking about this with again, at work. Somebody's like, "Oh yeah, and Las Vegas, they're really good," and so on and so forth. I'm like, "Yeah, well, what happens in the expansion draft is you don't get stars typically, unless a team is trying to shed salary or it's a bad situation, they just want to get the person off the books. It's rare that you get stars transferring, but what you do get is you get a lot of average to above average on these teams. So you don't get any bad players as an expansion team. You don't have any bad. So you start the season kind of perfectly average to maybe a little above average. And so maybe your top line against your other team's top line, maybe it's not great. But if you play like in tennis ladders or any other kind of like, older gentleman sports or something like that, you can survive your one matchup versus your one matchup losing if you win all the other ones. And that's what these expansion teams are doing. So I look at the odds, and I think today Bovada has Seattle at plus 10,000 to win the Stanley Cup Finals. And I'm like, they're going to be in the playoffs, everybody. I mean, lock that in. They're going to be in the playoffs because of the way the NHL game works. And I'm not an expert, but I'm just saying, like, this always happens in the NHL. Always. The expansion teams make the playoffs and they go on a run because they're pretty good. Now, if their goalie gets hot, like I was saying before, anything could happen. So you're talking about, look, I'm looking at the other ones. I see Jersey has bad odds. I see Columbus is bad and Buffalo's bad. You're talking about the worst odds to win the Stanley Cup Finals in a game in a team that's probably, I bet you, going to at least make the second round of the playoffs just by the way these things are structured. So, if you're looking for value, log on to your Bovada account, man. Put a couple bucks on Seattle to win the Seattle Kraken to win the Stanley Cup, man. Because it's going to be weird, but it's going to happen, and it's just what happens in the NHL.
The good thing about expansions is you're not dealing with a bunch of bad contracts or things off you get a team that's, obviously you're going to have a fan base that's going to, the first year in expansion, I mean, these places go nuts because they got a team there, especially like a Seattle that's looking for an indoor, type of thing. All that, they have football, they have baseball. Obviously lost the Sonics like 15
Which
years ago.
BS. That's a city that should have a team. But you're right. I mean, Seattle's ready to go crazy over a team.
Right. So you're not hard. There's no residual stuff from previous seasons. You don't have players that are mad at management or players that are mad at coaches for last year or players that are mad with teammates.
Right.
Like it's basically a fresh start. A brand new start, and you can just go out there and just focus on winning.
Yeah.
So I actually might put some money.
Yeah.
On the Bovada, and I like those. I like that number because I like your reasoning.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're gonna make it. And by the way, I was scrolling through to look for the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup. They're not the favorite. They're number 2. It's Vegas. And they've been good every single season, including their expansion year where they went on the run. Seattle, man, just get in on it because they're going to have something to say. I'm going to shift this now to the NFL. So Fantasy Football Almanac, check the links below, show notes below, all that stuff. Updates are coming. The update schedule is on track and everything. Everything's good to go there. But Cam Akers tore his his Achilles for the Rams this year already. And this is the first of what will be many injuries. We saw it last year, but unlike this year and other years, last year we didn't have really a ton of training camp because of the the virus situation and all that. Well, this year it's going to be more of a normal year. We're going to see a lot of stars go down, and this happens every single year. It's just like if you're in a dynasty or keeper league, you just kind of hold your breath and hope it's not your guy. But Cam Akers down, major player, a high second round grade across the fantasy spectrum. And some of my readers have, been like, oh, when, your next updates, I'm sure you're going to be, taking a look at this Cam Akers situation. I'm like, yes, I will. But I can already tell you out there, I'm higher on Darrell Henderson than everybody else. Now, what I need to do on mine, I haven't started, I've just been too busy, but I haven't gone back and looked at film because as readers know, I actually do film study. I think I'm the only person out there who really does it. But I want to look at film of the backup running backs there because Malcolm Brown has moved on. I think he's in Miami now still. I know he went there, but I haven't been keeping track of whether or not they kept him in the last couple of months. But I don't think Malcolm Brown's going to do anything in Miami, and that's why I don't really care so much. But, the Rams, Darrell Henderson is that rare player who had a lot of draft cred coming in his rookie season. He didn't do anything his rookie year. He was kind of a disappointment. Last year, and usually I kind of write those guys off mentally, last year he came back and he really impressed me. And he actually kept Cam Akers off the field for longer than people would have thought between him and that three-headed monster that they had with Malcolm Brown. Well, this year now, he finds himself as basically the guy because Cam Akers was supposed to be the guy. And McVay, I think, always uses a committee approach anyway. So I always thought that Darrell Henderson was going to get more playing time than a lot of folks and a lot of publications were giving him credit for. Well, now what happens is Akers is out. Darrell Henderson is now the top running back. And there's not really anybody behind him that you have to be super concerned with. So I'm thinking Darrell Henderson's going to walk in. And again, let me vet this. Let me see, there could always be an undrafted rookie like a James Robinson situation in Jacksonville last year. Could come in and just, blow everybody's socks off. That's part of why we watch all the preseason games to make sure, you're primed for that as part of the guide and, part of the free offering that we offer when you buy the guide. But let me say this. Darrell Henderson, to me, is probably going to be a third or second round pick in my next set of rankings, pending what I do and look at the backups running back situation. And the situation is going to be somewhat fluid as I watch the preseason games. But Darrell Henderson, dude, I like what I'm seeing from him. I like what I saw last year. I like his opportunity. I love this offense. By the way, Matt Stafford is less mobile than Jared Goff was. Matt Stafford likes to hit his running backs out of the backfield. Darrell Henderson, if you're in a PPR format, is going to be, take quite a leap forward. And I thought this with Cam Akers as well, by the way. So if you're somebody in a dynasty or a keeper league and you had Darrell Henderson as a handcuff to Cam Akers, he's keep worthy. I would absolutely keep Darrell Henderson. That's not to say one of these, unheralded guys who you never heard of can't come out like a James Robinson last year. a couple guys in years before. Running back is unique, but you can come out and you could get a lot of value for Darrell Henderson at a very, very low price because people are going to be hesitant to move him up. I think that the assumption right now is that Darrell Henderson is going to be like a season-long handcuff guy, might get 50%, might share a backfield with somebody else. I'm telling you, I think it's more likely that he just walks into Cam Akers' role and somebody else takes like 30% of the snaps or something like that. And that is kind of the norm these days in the NFL. Outside of like Derrick Henry, who's on the field like every snap, for the most part, you're not going to see, Christian McCaffrey's another one that you see like playing on the field like all the snaps. You don't find that very often. Darrell Henderson is going to be one in the top in terms of market share or snap share at running back. So I think you got to snap that dude up. You got to keep that dude if he's on your roster. That's my feeling, Sam. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, if you like him, I like him. Yeah. Because I'm going to go with you every time.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it. Like, I'm always looking for value for the people that buy the book and value for readers. I think this is probably going to go on YouTube, so people who listen to the channel probably get this and snap this up. But yeah, I'm always looking for value. Like the Darren Waller a couple years ago, I'm like, spend your last round pick on him. I'm telling you, draft your kicker early, spend your last round pick on Darren Waller. Blew up, right? A couple years ago, like James Conner. I was on Christian McCaffrey before anybody was. Last year, although I didn't rank him number one, I had statistically projected Dalvin Cook as my number one overall fantasy player last year. That ended up hitting pay dirt for a lot of people. All this stuff that if you like read the reviews and all that, they're like, oh, this guy's ranking suck. They generally pan out. I'm just gonna say that. Toot my own horn, pat my own back. Not even a humble brag, just a brag. They generally work out. I'm saying Darrell Henderson, and he's got the skills. He's in the right offense, and this offense is going to be better than last year because I think Stafford will execute the offense better than last year. My only concern, by the way, for the Rams, well, they got two concerns. Only concerns. One is I think the loss of their defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach of the LA Chargers. That's going to be a bigger storyline for the Rams than people are giving credit for. Like, that defense is not going to be as good as the defense last year. Now, are they going to still be a top 5 unit? Yeah, they will. I'm not worried about that at all. Rams are going to be a very good team. They're a playoff team for sure. Their defense is going to take a step back, but I believe their offense takes a pretty nice step forward, Sam. So we're going to see, man. Darrell Henderson, you're getting him cheap now. You're getting him cheap. If your draft is in the next couple of weeks, pounce on that opportunity. My goodness. Take it to the bank, dude. Let me look at the futures for the Rams while I'm talking about it. Pulling up the old Bovada here. Rams are at plus 1,200. Plus 1,200 to win the Super Bowl, according to Bovada. So, I don't know. I think it's a little heavy. I don't love that value because I still think there's some better teams. Like, for instance, assuming Rodgers plays for the Packers, I still think the Packers are better. Certainly the Tampa Bay Bucks, are going to have something to say about that. But I want to talk a little bit, streaming wise. I saw this new show, Sam. Now, I don't know if you're going to like this or not, but and I don't know if I'm going to like it, to be honest with you, but I saw it on Netflix. It's a dating show. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a dating show where everybody wears like animal masks, like really, I guess, high quality. Animal masks. And this whole trailer, I was captivated by the trailer of the show where there's this girl's talking about how she only ever looks for the hot guys and maybe that's not the right thing. And she's out there talking and she's wearing a panda mask. I can't even call it a mask. It's like a helmet. And it's like super high quality, man. This mask. So she's talking, her face is all articulated, and it's just a panda talking, and you can see her human eyes underneath this panda thing. And it creeps me out, but it also gets me a little excited to watch the show. It is garbage, and I don't have a lot of time to do this, and I usually stay away from garbage. This looks like pure dumpster fire garbage. And so I was talking to my wife, and I'm just like, I think I'm gonna watch this. My wife's just like, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that. That's all.
I mean, I'd be all over that. That sounds like a show we would watch.
Exactly.
And another thing, I mean, big year for mask makers.
Yeah.
Of all forms. We got the Masked Singer, we got the Masked Dating app, we got everyone wearing. Well, not anymore, but we had everyone wearing masks.
To be fair, we never had everyone wearing masks, right?
Right.
We only had about half, but still,
big year for masks, man.
This is like if you had stock, if you went into masked futures on Bovada, I don't know what the Bovada lines were for masks.
On masks.
Yeah,
I'm all about that. That seems like it'd be a good watch.
Yeah,
just to not really think too much and just kind of probably laugh and not get too heavy into something.
Exactly. Do you know? Do you remember there was? I think the show was actually called Blind Date, like back in the 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. And you would go, and it was a train wreck every single episode. It was one of my favorite things to watch. And somebody would go out, and they would invariably, somebody would go out. I think there was either 4 or 3 people that they had matched with, and it was a group blind date. There was always like drama between, if it was a girl and she was going out with a bunch of guys, or a guy going out with a bunch of girls, or, a girl going out with a bunch of girls, or vice versa, whatever, right? But there was always drama in the contestants that were trying to win the date. And then there was generally drama because if the person was there and didn't like, if you were on the show and you're trying to find a date and you didn't like anybody, then there was that, and they were so disinterested. And that was, to me, funny back then. I don't know if I'd find it so funny now. I've been on those dates where the people have been disinterested. So I felt the hurt, Sam. No, but like that. What I'm not sure on is if it's a group date situation, because there's a couple of angles there. I hope it is, but I don't think it is. I think they go on like one date at a time. But I would love a group date situation where everybody's in masks and they just go to a bar, and then these people show up in masks. Because wouldn't you like to be in the bar where that happens? And you're like, what the world is going on? But dude, I don't know. I have to find out.
Report back to me, man. See if you do watch it. Let me know.
I'll report back. Well, maybe we'll do a whole segment on this next week. I'll probably watch the whole season. There's 8 episodes. I can't remember the name of the show, but believe me, if you log on and you're looking for dating shows and some girl starts talking and she's wearing a panda mask, that's the one. That is the one.
Where's it on?
Netflix.
Netflix? Oh, even better. Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. So, I probably will watch it tonight. I've been watching Alone. I love
that show.
Yeah, I hadn't watched it in a long time. We used to talk about that, every couple of weeks or so. But I'm watching, I think, the most recent season that they have on Netflix. I think it's the most recent season. And they're trying to survive 100 days. I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in, so I don't want to talk any more about it. But some people were set up really well, so we'll see what happens. But I've been watching that, but I think I'm gonna push over into that dating show. Like as soon as my wife falls asleep next to me, that the dating show is going on. And she's gonna wake up and she's gonna be like, "This is such garbage."
She's gonna be really watching this.
Yeah, because I got to get it in before the Olympics, man. Because we got the Olympics coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I think we can close it out there. You got anything for the crowd before we head out?
Everyone be good, man.
Be good, man. Stay safe out there. And if you mask shamed me in Las Vegas, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. But I don't really care, obviously. So,
yep.
All right, everybody. Have a great week. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Be good.
Welcome to the podcast.
Functional sportsaholic. Sam and Sean, who they be. Sports in real life, they got real lives. Better tune in every week, don't miss the podcast. Cause you might get put on blast. And you know just what we call it. Functional sportsaholic.
Yeah, yo, sport addicts with real lives. Talking about real life, they real nice. Going cray on the Netflix late nights. NFL, the NBA, keeping the game tight. Reppin' the 407 Old Town. And 9-4s when they met, now they hold it down. Talking life, talking real social issues. All lighthearted, so don't bring your tissues. And don't talk stupid, cause Sean might lose it. You love sports, this podcast strikes like Cupid. Taking road trips, why not just for kicks? Sean going global, you know why? YOLO. And don't get him started on Gooch Givens. They here to spit knowledge, no time for the dishes. Aging like a fine wine, sipping in the kitchen. Gray in the beard, got wisdom, so listen.
Functional sportsaholic. Sam and Sean, who they be. Sports in real life, they got real lives. Better tune in every week, don't miss the podcast. Cause Otherwise you might get put on blast. And you know just what we call it. Functional sportsaholic.